Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. We are here. It is NFL Draft Week, so it is the perfect time to look at the Michigan Football 2019 defense, the depth chart. Starters, backups, some players switching positions. We'll talk a little bit about the guys who transferred and all things you need to know about the 2019 Michigan Football defense. I am James Yoder, the undisputed, undefeated king of Michigan football media, the guy that the insiders, the claimed insiders, don't want you watching. So welcome in to the Michigan Football Report. Want to ask you to follow me on Twitter all off season long for the inside scoop at James Yoder. No more T in my name, at James Yoder on Twitter. Go ahead and give me a follow. Hit me up in the DMs if you want to talk Michigan football on the download, the inside scoop. All right, so let's get into it. Michigan losing a lot of players this offseason. We know about the NFL guys like Rashan Gary, Chase Winovich, Devin Bush heading to the NFL. Also had a big-time transfer on the defensive line. So let's take a look at this defensive line depth chart with only returning one starter, Michael Dwumfour. Oh, James, what about Aubrey Solomon? Remember, he transferred towards the end of December. He's at Tennessee. Haven't heard yet whether or not he's going to be granted eligibility, but I think these days anybody who claims that they should be granted eligibility automatically has been lately, so probably look for him to be on the field in 2019 for Tennessee. Take a look, starting at the left side of the screen. Take it over for Rashan Gary is Aiden Hutchinson. Showed a lot of promise throughout 2018. Carlo Kemp, Michael Dwumfour on the inside, and then Quiddy on the outside. You might say, hey, there's some other guys that you're missing here, James. Where's this guy? Where's that guy? This is what I'm projecting for Game 1 against Middle Tennessee at the end of August. Game 1 depth chart. Aiden Hutchinson, Carlo Kemp, Michael Dwumfour, and Quiddy. You might notice there at the defensive tackle, third stringer, Ben Mason, the fullback position, getting a lot less emphasis on the offense. So they're trying to get Ben Mason on the field more. He's just a bad man, so they're going to put him there on the defensive line. He'll get some snaps. Obviously not going to be a starter behind Michael Dwumfour, returning for his third year in a starting role. Let's take a look at the defensive line losses. These are guys who were starters last year. I mentioned them a little bit earlier just a moment ago. Rashan Gary, 3 seasons at Michigan, entered the NFL draft early with a video a day and a half after the Ohio State game. Certainly ruffled a few people the wrong way by not playing in the bowl game. Chase Winovich did play in the bowl game, graduated. Some say could be a second-round pick, maybe a third-round pick. And then you've got Aubrey Solomon, a 2-year starter at Michigan, kind of a 2.5-year starter, transferred. He is headed to Tennessee. He'll likely play, I would imagine, since all of the guys who transfer now are granted immediate eligibility. So which brings me to a question on the losses from the Michigan defense. Who is the bigger loss looking forward to next year? Is it Chase Winovich, or is it Rashan Gary? Chase Winovich, unheralded recruit. I think he may have came into Michigan as a tight end. I can't remember if I remember that correctly, but very unheralded. Rashan Gary, #1 recruit in America in 2016. Who is the bigger loss for the Michigan defense? You can type in their full name. You can type in Chase or Rashan below in the comment section, watching here on YouTube and back on the Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook Live. Let's take a look at our Michigan Football Report YouTube subscriber shout-outs. I want to give a subscriber shout-out to 5 people this week. We're going to do this every episode, so if you want to get your name on the show, make sure to leave, comment, subscribe to the channel, and you will be on there. We've got Michigan Wolverine in LA. Is that LA or is that Louisiana? Probably LA, California, right? Matthew Eden. Matthew, we might have to pull the Raiders report hustle and put a picture on there. Google your name and put a picture for you. So get a picture on there. Stephen Harris, Alejandro Ramirez, thank you for watching. And then I like this one, Raccoon Creek Aquatics, coming at it, leaving a comment on the last show. So thanks a lot for the comments, guys. Keep it rolling. Let's take a look at a man we didn't mention in that defensive line depth chart as much, so want to shout him out or spotlight him now, is Michigan's grad transfer signee, Michael Dana. He was a first-team All-American according to Pro Football Focus. So not an AP All-American, but first-team All-MAC, first-team All-American for PFF. And who is this Mike Dana? Well, he started all 12 games for Central Michigan in 2018, but prior to that, 2015 he's a true freshman. He redshirted 16 and 17. He only had 4 starts combined before kind of breaking out in his redshirt junior year. He was at Central Michigan this year looking for an opportunity to get a little more exposure for the NFL draft, is coming to Michigan as what we see him to be as a backup role. So going from starting all 12 games for Central Michigan and being a Pro Football Focus All-American, coming to Michigan in a backup role. You'll see he'd be at the weak side defensive end, backing up Kwity Paye. I'm pretty excited about this guy. From what I saw, he's certainly undersized, and that's probably why he didn't get a lot of playing time early on at Central Michigan. But when he got on the field, he made plays. A lot of tackles for losses. Kind of taking a look at his stats here. Last year, 66 tackles, 37 of them solo tackles at that defensive position. If you look back to where he was in high school, he wasn't an unknown commodity. Shout out to Central Michigan for landing him. He was number 15 on the Detroit Free Press. I don't read him. Fab 50 coming out as a senior in high school. So he was number 15 recruit in the state, according to the Detroit Free Press, which I've heard no one's reading anymore. So maybe that was more valid back then when he was coming out of high school 4 years ago. Was also on the Detroit News and the MLive Dream teams in 2014. All right, that is the defensive line. Want to talk about Rashan Gary, hoping to get drafted this Thursday up in the top 5 to 10 picks in the first round. I want you to grade Rashan Gary's career at Michigan. Go ahead and give him an A, a B, C, D, or F. I don't think we're going to go that far, of course, but I want to know from you guys. Did Rashan live up to the hype? Did he live up to the expectations? And by the way, we'll talk about this in a second. You can actually watch the NFL draft with Rashan on Thursday. We may talk about that here in a moment. But greatest career for us, A, B, C, D, or F at Michigan. You can hit me up on Twitter at James T. Yoder if you want to talk about this a little bit more. Let's take a look at the linebacking depth chart for the University of Michigan. We've got the Sam, the Mike, the Will, the Viper. A lot of cool names to just basically say inside linebacker, outside linebacker, and then the Viper position, which is a flex between safety and linebacker. I don't consider that Sam position a starting position on the Michigan defense. They put out 4 linebackers. That's more of the guy who, Josh Uche really epitomized that role last year. He is basically a pass rusher on the outside in true passing down. So Josh Uche will start that role again this year, but I don't consider him a true starter. Josh Ross returning in a starting role. Devin Gill was kind of a starter. He was at that Sam position last year. He was at Will a little bit. He's going to get taken over by Cameron McGrone, I believe, a highly ranked 4-star linebacker out of the state of Indiana who didn't get a ton of playing time, didn't really get on the field last year in 2018. I'm projecting him, after what I heard about his 2019 spring, as a starter along with Josh Rush. Those will be your 2 starters at the true linebacking positions, the Mike and Will at Michigan. And then you've got Khaleke Hudson, backed up by Michael Barrett, who tried to make it at wide receiver and running back over the last year at different times, has moved around defense, offense. He's back on offense, it seems, defense going forward. He's going to be the heir apparent to Khaleke Hudson at that Viper position, so maybe we'll see him as a starter in the 2020 Michigan football depth chart. Let's take a look, though, at the biggest loss, not only from the linebacking crew, but I believe the entire Michigan football team. It is Devin Bush. Going to be a first rounder according to all the mock drafts I've seen out there, and was really the heart and soul of this Michigan defensive team. Sat out the bowl game, wasn't a big fan of that one, but at 5'11", 250 pounds, he was a absolute dynamo. Matches what the NFL teams are looking for in a linebacker into the 2019 and beyond, and certainly was a force, one of the great Michigan linebackers of all time. Take a look at those stats: 66 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks last year. So big time loss for the University of Michigan, and I wish him nothing but best at the NFL draft upcoming this Thursday, which you can watch on Chat Sports, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. But I want to remind you guys, if you want to watch the NFL draft with Rashan Gary, I've been trying to get this Instagram account going. It's popping, baby, but certainly not to 1,000 yet. Michigan Football Report on Instagram. I'm putting my best scoops there before anywhere else. Go ahead and get a follow. If we can get to 1,000, I'm going to send somebody 2 tickets to the Rashan Gary draft party. Going down, choo, 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 choo. This Thursday night, you can be there with Rashan in Ann Arbor at a bowling alley. Big time red carpet affair. James Yoder, Chat Sports, Michigan Football Report can send you there, but you got to follow us on Instagram. One more look at the linebacker position. Khaleke Hudson is a man I expect to revitalize his his star power at the University of Michigan, because we take a look. He broke out in the second half of the 2017 season. You take a look at the left side of your screen. 83 tackles in 17. And only 44 in 2018. Khaleke, where are you at, my man? But then it even gets more mind-blowing. He had 8 tackles for loss in 1 game against Minnesota a couple years ago. 18.5 for the year. Only 3.5 tackles for losses, 2 sacks against 17 versus 18. So he broke out as a true sophomore. I expected him to go straight to the NFL draft after his junior year in 2018, but did not go down like that. He really took a step back, was outshined by a number of other players, and I don't think he was fitting in that same role. Josh Uche took away some of those rushes off the defensive end where they brought Hudson down on the line at certain times. In 17, didn't happen as much in 2018. But this is a top 5 defense coming back. Michigan's got 5 what I call true starters returning on the defense. You got Michael Dwumfour. Of course, you've got Josh Ross, Khaleke Hudson. Then you've got 2 members of the secondary we're going to look at right here. The secondary depth chart for Michigan. Lavert will be a 3rd-year starter in 2019. He had the opportunity to go pro. A lot of people thought he would. Might not be a 1st, 2nd, 3rd round pick. Some were projecting him 4th, 5th, 6th. He decided to come back for one more run in it. Josh Metellus will be also a 3rd-year starter for Michigan at strong safety in 2019. And here's where it gets interesting, okay? Here's where it gets interesting. Michigan Football Report, we take the status quo and we throw it out the window, okay? I'm calling Dax Hill game 1. Brad Hawkins, I was hyping you up last year. You're going to make an impact this year. I think he's going to be a little bit at that 3rd corner position. He's going to back up. Brad Hawkins will be on the field, but I think Dax Hill, who will be on Michigan's campus in about 5.5 weeks, will be your starter at free safety from game 1. Then you've got Ambry Thomas, followed up by spring star Vincent Gray, who's finishing up his redshirt freshman year. So that is the big announcement, the big thing we're putting out there. We're breaking convention. We're breaking the status quo of just slotting in last year's backup as a starter. Dax Hill coming in June 1st. He's going to be your starter at free safety for Michigan in 2019. Game 1, no questions asked. You've got a couple guys missing from this depth chart. You might have missed the news cycle, and that's okay if you did. Certainly, Aubrey Solomon, back in mid-December, decided to transfer away from Michigan, a 5-star recruit in 2017, multiple-year starter for Michigan. Miles Sims, just Friday afternoon, announced he was going to transfer. Another Georgia guy. Hey, I'm going to go out on a limb here, guys. Stop recruiting kids from Georgia. They always transfer. Maybe that's just me, but that's what it seems like, especially the last 3 or 4 years. And then Reuben Jones decided to transfer. Sims and Jones have not announced where they will go next year, but they are currently in the transfer portal, which is maybe the best and the worst thing to ever happen to college football. I think that's going to play itself out over the next few years. Don Brown has had 3 straight top 5 defenses. That includes 2017 when he only had 1 returning starter. They ended up number 3 in the country, I believe. So I want to know from you guys, with this defense only returning 5 starters, with Michigan going to an seemingly up-tempo offense, if you believe the headlines, will they keep a top 10 defense in 2019, according to yards? We're talking about yards. That's the stat they go for top defense. So I want to know from you guys, will Michigan have a top 10 defense? I'm going to say yes, because Don Brown, as D coordinator, has had 4 straight years of top 5 defenses, including 2015 with Boston College. But type Y for yes, type N for no. The 2016, Don Brown came in number 1 defense, lost 10 starters, number 3 still. And then last year, they were number 1 the entire year, it seemed, until they got absolutely boat raced in the final 2 games, giving up a 62-burger to Ohio State and then getting blown out against Florida. But that is your Michigan football defensive depth chart for 2019 Game 1. If you've got anything you want to disagree with me on it, make sure you hit me up on Twitter or the Michigan Football Report Instagram. Subscribe below, and then join us on Thursday, 7:30 Central, Chat Sports YouTube for the NFL Draft Live. I am James Yoder, Michigan Football Report. We will see you later. Hey there, Michigan football fans. Thanks so much for watching the Michigan Football Report. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We've got Michigan football news, rumors, recruiting information, and inside access to the Michigan football program. You ready for another Michigan football video? I got you hooked up right here. Go Blue.